because that, I'm very thankful that I have any listeners at all. For me to just start doing an internet radio show. Now, of course, I wish I had more. And one of my goals is to build up listenership. And one of the things that I started doing, actually just started today, was some advertising, some marketing that actually cost me some money. Not a lot. I'm not ready to invest a whole lot of money in marketing, but that's one of the things that I did. And what I'm going to do is invest a little money in marketing, because I don't know. It may be that people listen to the show and they just don't like it. And again, it's better when I have a co-host. It really is. So right now, not having a co-host on most shows, every other Thursday, Ken Shorjan joins me, not really as a co-host, but more as a guest that's here to give information. I mean, he does a great job. I always get a lot of listeners on his show, or his shows that he appears on. But it may be that if people heard the show, they like it and listen to it. It's just they don't know it exists. It might just be that people hear the show and they think it sucks and they're like, I'm not listening to this again. I don't know. Either way, I have, it's my form of activism. It's my goal to get this information out there and to try to wake up as many people as possible. And so I'd love to hear any positive stories of you getting something out of the show. Anyway, regarding the security state, encryption that can't be cracked by the CIA. So there's 2 points I want to make on this. When Apple and a couple other companies created phones that couldn't be hacked by the CIA, supposedly, they came out and said, and this is a society we're living in, and how fucked up is this to say that they don't want anything created that they can't have access to, that they're not able to crack, that they should be able to crack any device, that they should be made that way. And that's like saying that you think about what that really means. I mean, it means that the government should be able to have access to anything you do, and nobody should be able to make something that can not be accessed by the government. So there was an article in the LA Times, an op-ed by Glenn Greenwald, who was the main reporter in the Edward Snowden stories and breaking that and getting all the information from him. There was a couple of others, but Glenn Greenwald was the main one. And he wrote an op-ed about how now they're trying to blame him. So just like they came out and said, oh, he did this and put our national security in jeopardy, they want to add another thing that they're blaming him for the tech companies and the tech companies as well. But him from coming out and releasing the information. Now the tech companies are creating these of creating things that can't be broken by the NSA or CIA or whatever federal agency. So essentially they're saying that because Snowden came out and released all this information, that people said, well, we want something. There became a bigger demand for technology that can't be broken or accessed by the government. So as I was just saying, some of these technology companies came out with phones. Phones is the biggest thing that I'm aware of. I know Apple and I think Google and any other type of technology, whether it's email or anything like that, that they're blaming him because now the tech companies are creating these things that can't be broken by them, supposedly. I mean, that's what they're saying. I wouldn't trust them, especially Google. Google's the last fucking company I would trust. But that it's his fault and that they're helping terrorists. So they're trying to twist this around now, that essentially having privacy and creating devices that give you privacy from the government is helping the terrorists, because then they can't get in and read the terrorists' communication. Even though, again, the chances of a terrorist attack happening are more unlikely than like being struck by lightning and things like that. But they're trying to bring up this fear. I can believe it, but it's so ridiculous that not only are they going to blame him, but they're going to blame these tech companies, and that they essentially, I think, want to pass a law that says we need to be able to crack this, or you have to give us backdoor access, or it's illegal. And I think at some point that will happen. So again, you know, how important is freedom over fucking security? And a lot of people would say, yeah, that probably should be a law, because, you know, what if the terrorists are communicating and there's something happens? The other thing I think people have to understand, and I've mentioned this before, is that if you live in a free society, which we don't, but if you live in a free society, there's a certain risk that you have to take. There's having privacy also means that things may happen. But if you look at what's happened over the years, I mean, they can exaggerate it all they fucking want. But the majority of this shit, like they're putting out these numbers that they stopped hundreds, well, not hundreds, but, thousands, tens of thousands of attacks that they supposedly stopped, that the FBI set up in the first place. It's all bullshit. It's justification. It's we stopped this, we stopped that. Based on what? Because some idiot was talking about jihad on the internet. It's just so, I mean, if you really look at it and you look at the amount of Muslims in the world, obviously, one, it's a small percentage. And two, how come we haven't had all of these terrorist attacks? What about before they implemented all this stuff? How come nothing happened until 9/11, really? Well, I know in 1993, that was set up by the fucking FBI. You had a guy involved in that who was like supposed to be the FBI's man in that, or undercover guy or something like that. But he was a Muslim. He wasn't part of the FBI. And they tried to fuck him over, so he got them on tape. He ended up getting millions of dollars out of that. Of course, nobody talks about that. So you have people being scared into going along with the government because the government media is just trying to breed all of this fear that about terrorism. And really, what's your fear? That what, you're going to get killed, or somewhere you go will get blown up? I mean, what is your specific fear when it comes to that? Because as I read through, there's so many other ways that, or other things, I was going to say other ways to die, but more common ways that people die. And are you going to live your life that way as well? Are you going to avoid all those? Now, I'm a type of person where, I am a little cautious with certain things, where there's certain things I wouldn't do. Like I was scared like to ski because when I was in high school, I guess they had a senior trip and I was, I think, in 10th grade, and one of the kids skied into a tree and he's partially retarded now. And I was like, you know what? I'm not fucking with skiing. But now it's more like I don't want to ski. I have no desire to ski because I hate the cold anyway. And what's the fucking point? But yeah, I mean, I'll be a little cautious with certain things, but that's more like, you know, if whatever, not go on a certain ride because, hey, that ride could be kind of dangerous or something, you know, like shit like that, I guess. But I'm not going to sit around and worry about terrorists when we're already being terrorized by the U.S. government. So now they want to, and people are ignoring that. People are actually looking to the U.S. government to protect them from the U.S. government. So meaning that most of the terrorists, I think 99% of, because there's hardly any, but 99% of what they supposedly stopped were plots that were essentially set up by them, meaning that they found somebody on the internet, said, hey, we'll give you the equipment and all of that shit. And somebody even had said on Free Talk Live that they actually, a guy changed his mind and said, you know, he got a job and said, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to get a job. I got a job offer and I'm starting my job, and they fucked it up. So they either fired him or before he started or something like that. So, I mean, that's how far they'll go because they want to arrest. They want to show statistics. If you look at the type of world we live in now, everything's based on statistics. You look at the police, arrest. We want a crime down. We want this. And they measure them or distort them in a way that benefits them. Like the unemployment rate is like 5 point something. But if you really want to look at how many people are working and how many people are not working, you know, that's going to give you a lot more insight into what really, what the unemployment rate really is. Because they're not counting all these people because they're saying, well, they're not currently looking. How the fuck do you even count that too? So if somebody runs out of unemployment, right, because I guess you can count people receiving unemployment checks. So, okay, you know those people are unemployed if you went and collect unemployment. But what about after they run out of unemployment? How do you know if they're looking for a job or not? Like, how would you even know? I don't understand how they even calculate the unemployment rate. And I heard how they do it before, and it sounds like some ridiculous fucking way of calculating it that is just a way to make the government look what we accomplished, because I know at one point it was like 8% or something. And they're talking about how the economy's great and all of this stuff. And of course, because, you know, we haven't been hit really with all the inflation, even though we definitely been hit with some of it, because you can notice just in the things you buy at the grocery store, how much things are going up. But a lot of it is still, you know, the reserve currency and how other countries have to hold U.S. dollars